and welcome back. I sound like Mrs. Doubtfire, don't I? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. With each loss, I feel like people aren't going to want to talk about the Bears. My viewers are already going down per show. So, what is that all about? Okay? Now, I'm not losing. They are. So you should still be listening to me. Yeah, another tough loss. We're going to talk about it, obviously. Um, we'll get into it, but first, I want to bring something up. If you're a watcher of all my shows every week, my my two shows a week, you know that I had a great story I was telling about how my buddy Dan, who I do the podcast with on Wednesday nights under Bears Country Podcast, download with Dan and Lynn. Dan started a GoFundMe page last year for this really awesome guy, Chris Watts from Yorkshire, England. Big Bears fan since '85. And they raised the money. They brought him over, and something just fell off behind me. It was on, just fell. Did you guys see that? Anyways, brought him over. Short story. He went to the game yesterday, and he's going to the Raiders game next Sunday. So he's here. We brought him in, and I thought it was just a great story. It is a great story. Bears fans pitched in to bring somebody they've never met over to watch the Bears in person. And he was at the game yesterday, even though they lost. They had a great time. And Chris said he had a really, really good time, and he met a lot of nice people. And they got to meet George McCaskey, my buddy. They were tailgating, and he walked down the aisle, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Mr. McCaskey." So apparently he does that. These guys were saying that he does that every game. He walks down and talks to the tailgaters and stuff. That's kind of cool. So they got to meet him. And Chris, I had written a bunch of TV stations, and only one answered, and it was Channel 32. Turns out, now we know why nobody watches their show on Channel 32. So anyways, they had Chris on. Long story, they promised us that Dan, my buddy, was going to be on the Good Morning Chicago show on Friday for their super fan segment, which was a fucking joke. It was like maybe a minute. And Dan didn't get on. Chris didn't even get to tell the story how a GoFundMe page from Bears fans brought him here to America to see two Bears games. And it was a little disappointing, but I talked to Chris, and he said he had a great time anyways. He got to meet George McCaskey's wife. She was there, real nice lady. He said everybody was really nice. It just didn't go the way it was promised. Not a shock, right? But all that matters is Chris had a good time, and that's really all that matters. But the Bears, because I had contacted the Bears too, and what they did was yesterday they took a bunch of pictures of Dan and Chris outside of the game and then inside of the game while the game was going on. And Larry Meyer, the Bears beat writer that he's worked for the Bears forever, apparently he's going to do a story on Dan and Chris, and according to Dan, he thinks it's going to be out after the Raider game. So once we get more information about that, we'll certainly let you guys know, because you're going to want to go to the Bears website and read about it. And hopefully they tell the story how it should be told, because it's so cool. And Chris is just having a blast. They're having a lot of fun, that's what they're doing. And he said it was really, really a good time at the game yesterday. So unfortunately he saw a loss, but it was, I don't know. So let's get to the game. So Dan and Chris, keep on having fun this week, and I'm sure I'm going to hear more great stories. And Dan knows what I'm talking about, right, Dan? Anyways, so let's talk about this game. Bears lost 19-13. I'm going to start with my threes today. My threes, if you win these threes, you're either going to be in the game or win the game. And the Bears won 2 out of 3, and they were certainly in this game. So they won time of possession 35 minutes to 24. They lost the turnover battle for sure. They had 3 turnovers. Minnesota had 1. And the Bears, you know my rule on penalties. You know I hate penalties, but my rule is 5 or less to give you a chance to win. And the Bears had 5 for 29 yards. And I'm going to point out how bad they can be. So if you were watching the game yesterday, number 12 Jones finally gets to get a chance to run a ball back. He runs it to the 50-yard line. We would have been at the 50-yard line, people. That's where we would have started. Nope. Out comes the yellow. They ended up starting from the 10-yard lines. See what a penalty does? I mean, it just disrupts everything. I mean, we start from the 50-yard line, and the Bears ended up not doing anything on that drive. As a matter of fact, that particular drive, I do believe we went for it on 4th and 3 and did not make it. So we turned it over on downs. But penalties suck. Okay, I want to point out something, though. You know what? It's so frustrating because I have seen improvement each week, especially since that frickin' Denver game. Lynn, what? Stop talking about the Denver game. All right. So get this. The Bears' total plays, 65 to Minnesota's 55. Total yards, Bears 275 yards to Minnesota's 220. Total drives, we had 12, they had 11. Passing, they did beat us, but this will show you. We had 113. Bagent had more than Fields. Though Fields went out, in the first half he came in after halftime, right? It was Bagent. I don't remember. But, and then, so we had 113 passing yards, Minnesota 174. We kept them under 200 yards. That's really good because Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. We outrushed them. We had 162 yards rushing. They had 46. Now, you know I've been on the defense. I keep saying they can't stop a freaking baby from crawling. They did it yesterday. 46 yards, not bad. We did lose the sack thing. We had Bears only had 2 sacks. Minnesota had 5 sacks on us. So, but you see that the Bears are doing the right stuff. They're just not. They're still making errors that are costing them wins. And we're going to talk about that because that's what cost them this game was those turnovers. But so let's start. So this really irritated the shit out of me. The Bears get the ball first, and Fields gets sacked twice in that first drive. The offensive line was horrible yesterday. They had a couple bright spots, but basically they went backwards again. Now, Nate Davis did go out fairly early, but he was still in when he got sacked twice in that first drive that ended up in a punt. They were terrible in the first half, just terrible. And in the second half, they had a few moments. But in the second quarter, when Fields threw that interception, he got hit. And I do believe that's why that interception happened, because he was hit. I mean, the Bears' offensive line gave up 5 sacks yesterday, okay? And it is Minnesota. They are better than their record. As I told you on Friday's show, much better than their record. But Fields did not have time to throw that ball a lot yesterday. Although, I will tell you that Fields, he is holding on to the ball too long again. He was doing that earlier in the year. Then he had some good games. Of course, Denver and Washington again. But still, he was making good decisions. He was not making good decisions yesterday, and he was holding on to the ball. There was 2 times where receivers were open, and one in particular where DJ Moore was wide open. And he just didn't release the ball. And there was another time where there was a receiver open. It could have been more again. And even the TV announcers were like, he should have released that ball. He just, he didn't, he's not making good decisions again. And I don't know what's going on. We're going to get into Getsy, don't get it, because he had a terrible game too. But, I just don't think, part of it is, I don't know if Fields is the answer. I think it's offensive play calling isn't suiting him. We know that. And it just, I don't know. He threw that interception again. He was hit, and after that interception, Green Bay or Minnesota goes down and scores a touchdown. Right there. So, actually, you could count that on Fields, but the defense should have stopped him too. But it did amount into 7 points. Now, Bagent comes in for an injured Fields. We all know that. And unfortunately, he fumbles the ball, and Minnesota gets it, runs it back for a touchdown. That was just really unfortunate. I was pissed, but the kid's young. He just got off the bench. He's been sitting there all game. And it was unfortunate, and that's where his line let him up again. He had to start running because the line wasn't holding up. He has to start running. He gets it punched out. They run it back. Do you know? Now he's in this, unfortunately. 28. But so, anyways, between the two quarterbacks this season, these 6 games, the two quarterbacks alone have given up 35 points to the other team. Fields has allowed 28, and that meant where they ran back interceptions, they ran back fumbles. I'm not counting that, so yesterday Fields had that interception, and I said that they went down the field, they got the ball, Minnesota came out, and they went down the field and scored. I don't count those. I'm talking about where they fumble or intercept the ball, and the team takes it for a touchdown. Fields has given up 28 points himself, and now Bagent has given up 7. You know what? It's hard to be mad at Bagent. It just is. So I'm not going to get on him for that. But 35 points is a lot. Bagent, if that fumble doesn't happen and it stays the way it was, Bears win 13-12. Again, just like the Denver game, which I'm not allowed to talk about, even though I'm going to, what those turnovers did. They gave it to him, and game over. Now, Bagent's second turnover when he had that interception, I have not been able to confirm this. I didn't like that they didn't play it back enough for me to see, but it almost looks like the way he threw, because he has a much stronger arm than that ball fluttered. And I just can't believe, I think his arm must have been hit. That's what I'm thinking, just slightly, and that could take it. But the TV announcers didn't talk about it, and I haven't been able to find it. But I somehow think his arms, because he wouldn't throw a ball, would he? I just don't think he would do that. And if he did, you're not in college anymore, Bagent, right? But I just don't think so. I think his arm had to be somehow touched, or maybe the ball was, because it was flittering in the air. And had he not been what I believe touched, or that ball or whatever, Moore had beat his receiver, his defender. Moore beat him, and they were right by the goal line. Had he caught that ball, it would have been a touchdown. Bears win. But, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? Yeah, I know. So, Getsy. Let's talk about Getsy. Don't frickin' get it, okay? I don't like him. I don't like him. He seems to have good games and bad games. I don't know what he was calling yesterday, but those play calls were terrible. And he's got to stop this behind-the-line shit. Teams are too fast for that. Yeah, I know, and I'm not talking screens. It was just stupid calls. And then I thought he was having a bad game anyway. So with Fields, I don't think he's calling the right plays for Justin to succeed. And it's becoming worse and worse. And it's like, okay, is it Getsy or is it Fields? I'm not 100% sure anymore. I think it's both. But there were some calls. That running back, number 21, Foreman, who took over for our number 1, 2, and 3 running backs that are all out, and he had a great game. He had, I forget, it's somewhere, I'll tell you, it was 80-something yards, I believe. It's down in my notes later. But Foreman, 65, right here in front of my face. He had 65 yards. He should have had a 100-yard game. He was getting chunks. And if you feed him the ball more and more, you're going to wear down their defense. You're going to eat up the time and hopefully score and keep their offense off the field because Foreman was getting the chunks. He's one of those guys, those big guys, that gets better and better as the game goes, and then he wears that defense down because he keeps hitting them. And I don't get it. Getsy should have been calling more runs, especially when you add the rookie in there. Who comes off, cold on a bench, been sitting there. He hasn't been practicing with the ones. He's on the practice squad. So it's, no, he's not. He's number 2. So but still, he's not getting the ball. He's not. Now he's going to. But run the frickin' ball. He did not. It didn't look like Getsy changed his game plan when Bagent went in. And they're 2 different quarterbacks, 2 different styles. Bagent's not going to be a running quarterback. He's going to be a pocket passer, that's for sure. So, Getsy, you got to see what's in there. And I know because he hasn't been in, the game was called for Fields to be on that field. I get it. Now, I understand. I was just told from my buddy Dan that he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He's having surgery on that dislocated thumb. So, I really, really, really hope the Bears put Bagent in and leave it. We don't need Peterman in because, let's face it, this season's done anyways. We want to get some more wins, most sure, but let's see what Bagent has. You never know. He could be diamond in the rough. Let's get that kid's out. So moving forward, if he's the number 1 quarterback, which I think everybody wants, he's going to be practicing with the number 1s. He's going to be preparing as the starting quarterback, and it'll make a whole lot of difference. So let's see what he's got, Bears. Play him. And Getsy, for Christ's sake, learn how to call a game. Man. All right. And Whitehair. What was up with Cody Whitehair? He was snapping the ball over the quarterback's heads all day long, or they were down low. He had a terrible game, and in the third quarter, the Bears had enough and put Patrick back in. Now, Patrick is our center, but he was coming off a concussion. He had been approved to play, but the Bears wanted to not play him if they could, but they finally put him in, and then there was no more problems. I mean, Cody Whitehair was a problem too. You can't have your quarterback going like this, and then, he finally gets the ball, and then he looks, and that offensive line was so terrible, everybody was in his face. That's what happens when those snaps are high, that you lose seconds, and seconds are so important in the NFL. So that blew. Let's talk about something good, okay? I really didn't give. I'm gonna go back to Bagent too in a minute, but I want to talk about the defense. I've been on the defense this year and last year because they've been horrible. I think they played a damn good game yesterday. They only gave up 12 points. They did not give up those 19 points. They gave up 12, and so they gave up 2 touchdowns. Or was it 1 and the rest of them were field goals? I can't remember. Now, pickled! Especially after this weekend. Whew. So the Bears only gave up 12 points. And again, if he doesn't fumble that ball, we win 12-13. The Bears defense had 2 sacks, 1 interception. Again, they had a good game there. The D-line and the backfield, to me, really stood out to being having a really good game. The D-line, I think it had to be one of the best games they've had. Well, for sure, the best game this season because they were getting in his face. They really were. And that's why they forced that turnover. I would like to see more sacks, but I think we need more blitzing to do that. But unfortunately, Eddie Jackson went out again, so he wasn't in the game long. But our backfield, really, Brisker, had a wonderful game. He was all over the place. And our rookie, Stevenson, 29, also had a damn good game. Both of those really stood out. Very, very happy. If the defensive line and the defense can keep getting better each week, that is a good sign. It means that those signings that Poles did in the offseason and the draft picks are turning out to be worth it because they haven't been until yesterday's game, in my opinion. So And we got to give a shout out to the special teams again. They've been solid all year. It's really the only good thing about the Bears. We had 2 field goals by Santos, and the special teams blocked an extra point. That's why it was a weird score. So yes, we also had injuries to Nate Davis, our offensive lineman, bad. Jackson went out, and then you know about Fields, who was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks apparently. So, you know, and like I said, the defense really did a good job because Minnesota is better than that 1-4 record they came in with, and I knew that they did not want to lose this game, so they played tough. But I think that our defense played really, really well. I got to give them props because I've been on their ass. So if this defense can excel like this every week and each week take new steps to be better, one problem solved, okay? Then the second problem is, who's our frickin' quarterback? So now we got to get Bagent in there. After a week of working with the number ones and planning, like you're the starting quarterback, which he will be, next Sunday we play the Raiders, and I'll be really interested to see how Bagent does. I really want him to excel. But, it worries with me, Getsy. Because Getsy don't get it, and that's part of the problem. And the other thing is, there was all these rumors in the mini-bye that the Bears were going to go get either a defensive analyst or a defensive coordinator to finish the season to help Flus. Well, what happened to that? How come they didn't do it? There was all kinds of talk. There was 3 guys' names, I think, and people were like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen. Well, it didn't. So, they're full of a lot of hot air bullshit. So, yesterday's game, turnovers cost us that game. Turnovers did. That turnover cost us the game, but it was also because of an injury. Although Fields, Bagent had more passing yards than Fields did. Bagent, I want to say, had 80-something, and Fields only had 50-something. So, after he fumbled that ball, Bagent, he got back in there. I was proud of him. They went down the field and they scored a touchdown, and he scored it. Congratulations! I meant to tell you that. Congratulations on your first rushing touchdown, Bagent. And I'm sure he's keeping that ball. But he did. They went down, and they were moving the ball again until the interception. So, but it's hard to be mad at this kid. You just can't. So, but the gloves are off for this Sunday's game. If he sucks, I'm going to say so on Monday. But if he doesn't, he's going to get praise. I give praise where praise is due. Like I praised the defense, the special teams. They both came to play. The receivers and running backs for the Bears came to play. There was one time that one of the receivers, I was like shocked because the Bears never do this. He actually was running, and I forgot who it was. Was it 13? What's his name? Whatever. And he actually came back to the ball and helped his quarterback out and caught a pass. He was way down and he came back. And my Bears helmet over there just fell down. What is happening to my set? It's falling apart. Just like the Bears. Ah, it's catchy. Anyways, so, so really bottom line again is we lost that game. Tough loss. Turnover. Turnover doesn't happen. Bears win that game. I know, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I don't know. It's, people, I want Flus gone, but you can't fire him now. I do want him gone at the end of the year. I don't think he's the answer, and I want Getsy gone too, for sure. Let's get Poles has got to hire the new coach himself. Don't go get a consultant. Go do that like the Bears have done in many, many years, because since Lovie Smith, it's embarrassing. Embarrassing. You're the Chicago Bears. So we need to go out there, and Poles has to do his job as the GM and get us a coach that can really coach his team. And I would love to see them bring Jim Harbaugh. I can't believe I'm saying it, and then one of the things stopping him is he wants player control. Give it to him, because The way you're doing it, Bears, it's clearly not working, is it? No, for the GM and everything, let him have player control. So what? And if it fails, then he goes. But if he takes you to the playoffs and a Super Bowl, and I want to go to a Super Bowl before I frickin' die, okay? And I'm old. God. So, we can't really beat the dead horse. We know what happened. Definitely in a entertaining game for sure, and I'm glad because Chris Watts, the guy from England, he said it was a great game. He said he thinks he taught people in the stands new swear words because he is from London, or England, so they swear a little different. They're like, "You're a booger, you're a booger, a bugger." No, that's it, bugger, bugger off, bugger off. But good game, but we lost. Not a good game, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's frustrating, and we're 1-5. I mean, and you know what? I don't want to talk about that guy from USC anymore. Okay, he had 3 interceptions in that Notre Dame game, and he looked terrible. And he was having a little hissy fit on the sidelines a few times. We don't want a quarterback back like that. We just don't. And I'm tired of hearing about first and second draft picks. We still have a whole season to go. Shut the fuck up about that, okay? I'm sick of it. Let's concentrate on the team that's out there. And don't boo the Bears in Soldier Field. That's the last thing these guys need right now. They need confidence. They need their fans, like when Minnesota was down there on the 2-yard line and they ended up having to punt. I thought they got a safety. I thought for sure, but they didn't. The fans really stood up for once in a long time in Soldier Field and screamed, and even the defense was like, "Yeah, you helped us." So cheer them on. Do not boo them right now. They don't need that. We've got to support this team. Even though they piss me off, they're still our team. And I don't want to talk about what's going to happen next end of April, beginning of May, okay? That's a whole nother year away. Well, it's not a year away, but you know what I mean. And I don't want to talk about it. Let's just concentrate on what's going on. Let's concentrate on getting this defense better each week. We saw a big improvement yesterday, and you know it. And Bagent, this is your time, man. Number 17, this is your time. The next 4 weeks are yours and yours alone. And this is, if you've got it, you've got that magic, or you got something there, this is the time to show it. Keep your head level, straight ahead, and do your diligence in working. Watch the films, So, and let me tell you something. I'm going to talk about it on Friday, but I know they won last night, but it was New England. The Raiders are not that good. They're just not. And they lost their quarterback again last night. I don't know what happened to him, but I know he was taken to the hospital. Garofalo. Do you have balls in your mouth? So we can beat them. So, but that's Friday's show. So what else can I say? There's not really anything else. I think you're all going to agree with me that we did see progress with the defense. The things, yesterday's problem was Fields was holding on to the ball too long. The offensive line let their quarterbacks down. They were awful. Getsy doesn't know how to call a game. And the turnovers. That's what lost us that game. So let's clean this shit up. Let's come back next Sunday. We're going to put Bagent in there. And let's see what this kid's got, and let's rally around him. And no fucking boos at that game next week. He and the Bears don't need it. We're fans. I know you paid, but come on, man. Boo at home. I don't even boo at home. I swear at them. I got to tell you, in that game yesterday, I was like up and down, because I kept thinking they were going to get a safety on that one drive. I thought that delay of game was a safety, but it's not. It's a false start, I believe that's a safety, or holding is a safety when you're down there. But it was so aggravating. But anyway, so I'm done. So thank you for watching, guys. I think I captured everything. I'm not really sure. I'm an old lady. What do I know? But I love you. I appreciate you watching me. Dan and Chris continue to have a lot of fun. Have some for me. I know you're probably having some for the whole state of Illinois right now. Um, but, and you know what? We'll be back again. I'll be back Friday. Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. Well, I'll be back Friday. You'll see the show Friday about Sunday's show. The Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, baby. That stadium is literally 10 minutes from my house, and it's a beauty. But we're playing in Soldier Field, so guys, we're 1-5, chins up. We saw improvement, and I guess this is just gonna be another. It's a process year. If I hear that one more time, oh no, let's throw it up in the air. This is what I think of process. It's in a process. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Okay. That's it. I'm going to stop. Blah, 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 blah. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. I know my viewership's going down, but that's okay. I only do it because I love to do it, and I do appreciate the viewers that do watch me. I really wanted to get to 400 subscribers this year. Excuse me, that was my goal. I'm 20 away, so, subscribe. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm always sign my show off. Be kind to one another. Love one another. Stop hate. Let's rally around. Times are really tough, especially over in Israel and what's going on there. God bless. Horrible, horrible. And you know what? If this continues, we're going to start to feel it. That's the problem. Times are just, this country and this world is just such a mess to be living in. And it makes me sad. So please, let's just stick together and get through this and love one another. Right? Yeah. So I love you, viewers. And I still do love my Bears, even though they're 1-5. 1-5. I don't know. What are you gonna do? All right. As always, go Bears and keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. I'll see you Friday.